start with is cutting up the onions. Now, Dahl is a very traditional dish. Just simple dal without even any vegetables. That's the original one. And we use different types of lentils. Mung bean is a kind of lentil. The most common one is the red lentil. And there are other legumes, urd dal and etc. But the red lentils are the most common ones. So red lentil is the most common one. And these mung beans are a little bit sort of classy. Okay? And so when we want to make it a bit classy, we use the mung beans. And to use the mung beans, we often, I'm still using the knife since I'm talking. That's okay. Yeah. So that's what you'll be doing anyway. So to use the mung beans, the best way to bring out its flavor is to roast the mung beans, dry roast. So that's what we'll be doing once all these ingredients are prepared. Okay. So cut the onions and put them in bowls. So one onion in one bowl and the other one in another bowl because we'll be using them separately. And dal is for not so affluent people is one of the staple food. It's protein for the poor people. But we all grew up with the tradition of having dal, whether we had other items or not. And when we had the dal, most of the time we had it more like a soup, and we would have it at the beginning, as well as towards the end we would take some more to just lap up from the plate. And we would mash up the red chilies and mix it in the soupy dal to make it hot, and then we would just enjoy it at the end. So after eating the rice and all the other things, then we would just go back to dal and just enjoy that, just we eat with our fingers, so just lap it up with our fingers. So that's the sort of tradition. I don't do it here. You can, you still can, yeah. Okay, so the onions are done. Now we will do the eggplants. We wash them. So we cut the eggplant into half first, lengthwise. And then each of the half again, in sort of quartered, lengthwise again. Okay. So we just sort of make 1-inch pieces, like so. And if in the middle they come out too big, we can just quarter them. So that's the eggplant done. And what we want to do, just soak the eggplant in water for a while. And now we are going to cut the tomatoes. just wash them again. Just cut the tomatoes in quarters.
Okay.
Put the cut tomatoes in another bowl. Slice the garlic. Very thin as you can. You can work through the skin and take the skin off once you've sliced them. Slice the cloves. We won't be cutting the chilies because then the dal may become too hot for some people. The chilies are for flavor. The ground chili is for the heat. If any of you cannot tolerate the heat, don't use the ground chili. I'm washing the coriander. So after washing the coriander, just cut them up in small pieces. Come and get 4 leaves of the bay leaves and 1 sprig of the curry leaves. Yeah. Yeah. Curry leaves.
And what's that one? Lime?
That's the lime leaves, which is not traditional, but I'm growing it and I like mixing cultures. When you have finished doing all that, getting your leaves, etc., we are going to start the first process of the cooking, which is dry roasting the mung beans. Okay, so you've got the lentils, so I'm going to do it in front of you, and then you can go back and do them yourselves. So we put this in here, in the fry pan. So on high, we start stirring the mung beans in the fry pan. Okay, so we have to constantly stir so that they get evenly. We want them as evenly as possible to turn golden brown. No, red lentils you don't roast. But with red lentil, because it has something in it, some chemical, doesn't suit everybody. It didn't used to suit me much. I've now worked out how to sort of get over that. You wash and wash and wash until it's clear. Then you have got rid of the chemicals that can upset some people. And mung beans are also used, roasted, for another dish, which is called khichdi. Have you heard of khichdi? The British used to call it kedgeree. So it's a mung bean and rice dish. Again, you use, it's a sort of alternative to pulao. It uses similar ingredients to pulao except the turmeric. In pulao, you don't put turmeric in, whereas in khichdi, you put turmeric in. So that's done. Okay. So you wash it now. And wash it, and this is the traditional method of draining. Keep your hand underneath as the water comes out, so you catch the beans as they're falling out as well.
Why would you need to wash it after you've dry roasted it?
Because, first of all, we didn't wash it before. If we wash it before, then it's too wet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we are washing it now, after roasting. That's a good question. So, now we put this in the pot. And I'll wash it to sort of get it all out, because some water is going to go in there anyway. Stay here to see how much water I put in. So you don't have to follow the recipe there again. That was a guess.
Yeah.
I think this should do. Okay? So now I'm going to put in the spices. Now goes the turmeric in. the spices, the chilies, that's to taste. So I'll just put, I think I had written to taste. I'll just put this much in. Okay? Because when anybody wants it a bit hotter, you can, or you can just, cut them out when you're eating, that they'll be cooked. So you can just mash them up. This is the cumin seeds going in. Stir, mix well. Garlic paste goes in. This is the cook's secret, right?
Yes.
No waste.
And what's that one?
That's the ginger. Now we put in some salt. I'll just start off with this much, and we can taste it later and decide if we need any more. Okay. Half of the onions go in here. Okay, now it's ready to start cooking. Mix it well, high. So number 9. Okay. Yeah, bring it to the boil, so you need to watch it, because otherwise it can boil over. Of course, this pot is quite big, it won't boil over, but it will still get too cooked too quickly. So it will get too thick. So you have to turn it on once it comes to the boil. This is not quite tablespoon, but that's okay.
So you don't put the oil in first, you can
No, put the oil in last, yes.
Last.
There's a secret to it. Why we put oil in last. Okay? That is the one you put in last. If you put it in first, you need more because it gets absorbed too quickly. So, like I was saying, in other dishes for which people usually fry the onions and spices and then put the ingredients in fish or vegetable or chicken or whatever, you need more oil. If you're cooking all the spices in oil first and then putting the ingredients in, you need more oil. But if you want to go lean, put oil last. The other secret, before you all go away, because I'm at an age now where I need to be careful about obesity and the side effects of all that, I cook without putting oil in here. Okay? And I just add the mustard oil towards the end. And when I fry the onions at the end, which is what we will go through later on, that is enough for me. It still gives the flavor. You still have the oil because you put it in last. Okay? But traditionally, you cook it with oil. So I'm showing you the traditional way, although I'm adding some other non-traditional stuff like lime leaves.
Yes.
So I'm turning the heat down to 5. Give it a stir, and then put the lid on again. If you like it hot, then you can cut the chilies, the green chilies, in half. Okay? And even after cutting them in half, because they're quite large, you can go the other way, slit in the middle, But if you don't want it hot, just want the flavor, leave them whole. So the dal is sort of half done. And this is when I'm going to put the vegetables in.
So that's all of So we put strainers on your table while
So the eggplants went in. Now I'm putting in the tomatoes. Right? And the chilies. Since some of you are cutting them, I'm going to cut mine too. It all depends on the type of chili. So it's very hard to say which is hotter at what stage. So green is the green stage, red is the ripe stage. But the dry red ones don't have much flavor. They're more, again, depending on what chili plant, yeah, you got it from. So the red ones don't slice, but the green ones you can. But again, you can get chilies and you can get chilies. There are some chilies don't have any heat at all, okay? But there are some chilies very hot. There are some chilies which are mildly hot, okay? So you need to know your chilies before you make decisions as to how much and whether you want to cut them or you want to put them in whole just for the flavor. Okay.
Smaller the chili, the hotter
the hotter, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wasn't expecting to see such large green chilies. But so they won't be hot. So now I put everything else in that needs to go into cook, and I'm going to turn the heat up again. So I'm going to turn it up onto 9 and stir it in. This is the time to check the salt as well. And this is what we do. Not enough salt. Mustard oil can go in now, but for the perfume, for the flavor to sort of hang around, put it in later. We use mustard oil a lot in mashed vegetables. And that's all raw. Okay? Raw mustard oil, not cooked. So after you have mashed, then you mix it in with raw onions, raw chilies. The rice bran oil is sort of my Australian version because it's better for frying.
Yes, it's got a higher heat.
Yes, but back home, they use, mustard oil is more expensive, so for frying and everything, they will use soybean oil.
Okay.
Soybean oil is very popular there. Okay, now it has come to boil. I'll turn it down again to 7.
That's good.
Turn it down to 7. Okay, now cover it up again. The thickness is a choice. You can have it more soupy, you can put more water in, or boil it more quickly so that it gets thicker. So the thickness is up to you. But you have to wait till the eggplant is soft. Okay, my eggplants are done. So I'm now going to pour in the mustard oil. You can actually use more. It's all to taste. And there's another use for mustard oil. When you have runny nose, put some mustard oil in your nostrils, smell it. That's supposed to help. My mother used to do it. I don't do it these days. It's a homeopathic type of remedy, but some people believe in it. And also, what my mother used to do, she used to mix some turmeric. We didn't grow up using turmeric powder. We grew up using ground turmeric. So green, not dry turmeric, green turmeric ground. So it would be a paste, turmeric paste. So she would mix turmeric paste with onions and mustard to make us eat it with a little bit of rice when we had colds. So it makes you sort of sneeze out. My dal is ready for me to throw in the extra stuff, non-Bangladeshi, non-Indian stuff, the lime leaves. I shredded them. Yeah, just rip. And now I'm turning the heat down to 5. So make sure all the onions are sort of separated. And some of you will find you may have too much onions because the onion originally was very large. So you may not have to use all of that. Okay, so just give it a stir so that it's spread out. Now you start with the garlic first because we want it sort of browner than the onions. So we throw in the garlic and stir for a while. And very soon pour in the seeds. And keep stirring. For now, just watch them getting sort of a bit darker before throwing the onions in. Okay, they're ready for the onions to go in. Keep stirring. Now put the other ingredients in as well. The chilies, the bay leaves, the curry leaves. Okay, so I brought it down to 7 so that the onions, the other ingredients don't burn out before the onions are done. So as you can see, the garlic is darker. That gives the lovely flavor. So every once in a while you have to scoop it over, turn it over like this. Yes, it's a bit heavy for me. Now, we pour all that in, including the oil, the oil with all the seeds and leaves. Now, the trick is to pour a little bit of the dal in the fry pan. To clean it out, but traditionally the belief is that otherwise you don't get the taste. The real reason is, get as much of it out as possible. But the traditional belief is that otherwise it doesn't taste as good. So now, it's actually coming out quite nice and thick. One of the reasons I don't normally do this is because then you lose some of the dal here. Yeah. Oh, the reason it's splattering is because I haven't turned it off. It should have been off. The cooktop should have been off. Otherwise, it was cooking there. Yeah. So you put a little bit of dal back into the frying pan.
To get all the extra flavour.
Get the flavor in, but the frying pan shouldn't be. Yeah, the cooktop should be off. It's sort of semi-thick. Semi-soupy. Now it is at this stage you can put in the coriander or when you're serving. Okay. So I'm going to put in the coriander now. So now bring the heat down to just two or three. I just want to mention something else. The coriander, I would use more of that. Yes, so that was just a little bit too few. So I would use more, a bigger bunch. Originally it's just dal. You can throw in any vegetables you want, okay? The vegetables that do best are eggplants, zucchini. Well, zucchini is a substitute for what we use, which is like a gourd. The green melony kind of gourd, it is available now. We call it lau. So that's a very good one. But if you can't get that, you can use zucchini. Zucchini is a good substitute for that. But you can use any vegetables. the yogurt goes in on top of your dal when you have put that on top of your rice.